the peak of summertime, which means a lot of people are headed to area lakes in North Georgia. One of those most popular lakes that we see people going to is Lake Lanier. Joining me now to talk about the basics of Lake Lanier, safety, and the push to keep the lake a clean and safe place to be for many decades to come is Victoria Clevenger, the Executive Director of the Lake Lanier Association. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about boating safety and the importance of keeping Lake Lanier clean for all users.
And Victoria, so Lake Lanier is just about an hour drive from Atlanta, right up 985, right there. It covers parts of Forsyth and also Hall counties. Tell me about just the vast expanse of the lake and some of the popular areas for people to go boating and also some of the beach access where you have zero entry.
Yeah, so you're right. Lake Lanier is very vast. It has over 600 miles of shoreline, and over 12 million visitors come to Lake Lanier on an annual basis. So people could be living on the lake, you could be boating, you could come to one of the beaches such as Mary Alice Park or one of the many campgrounds to enjoy Lake Lanier. And it's also drinking water to millions of those of us living in the area. So from a safety perspective and a cleanliness perspective, maintaining this resource is really vital to all who use it, whether you're living on the lake or playing on the lake or simply drinking the water.
And you bring up a great point because Lake Lanier was created, right? We had a dam at the southern end of it as well, the Buford Dam. So tell me about the dam on Lake Lanier and how many different counties are accessing drinking water from Lake Lanier?
Yeah, so Lake Lanier does cover 5 counties. Most popular for those probably watching 11 Alive is Gwinnett County and Forsyth County are getting their drinking water from Lake Lanier. So they have facilities where they're extracting water, providing it to their residents, and then putting the effluent that has been tested and treated back into the lake. And the dam manages the lake level. So that's the depth of the water and how much is released downstream for other users. So the dam actually controls the water levels all the way to the state border of Alabama, Florida. So it is really vital because it's not just impacting life and users here in the Atlanta area, but really beyond other states as well.
So it's a huge resource, of course, for water, but also a resource to enjoy. And each and every summer, it's really important to stress safe boating and being very safe as you're out on the water. What are the biggest pushes that you all are making with the Lake Lanier Association of people coming out and enjoying the lake to make sure, of course, they're having fun, but they're doing so in a very safe way?
Absolutely. So, the biggest, most critical piece of advice anyone could give is to wear your life jacket. Literally, wearing a life jacket saves lives. Everybody says a life jacket worn, nobody mourns. So, that is vital. Lake Lanier Association does have a dozen life jacket liner stations all across the lake in every county almost. So if you are coming to the lake and you don't have a proper fitting life jacket, you can pick one up. It is a use and return honor system. So we hope that you will seek one of those out if you don't have the proper life jacket with you. If you're boating after dark, the Lake Lanier Association has 300 solar lights on hazard markers to ensure that channel markers or shallow areas are identified and illuminated after dark. And knowing the rules of the road is really critical too, knowing how to pass another vessel or when to yield or what speed is appropriate in certain areas. Really having basic boater education and knowledge is going to be really a promise to ensure that you have a great summer. And that's a promise to yourself and your family and everyone that uses the lake. And actually, since 1998, or anyone born since 1998, a boating safety class is required. So this means if you have children that are coming of age where they're wanting to hop on a jet ski and meet their friends out on the lake, or maybe you want to let them take the helm as you drive to one of the restaurants on the lake this summer, be sure that you're mindful of that law here in Georgia. If you were to be approached by authorities and you've got somebody born since 1998 at the helm, and they haven't taken proper boater education, there could be consequences. So certainly ensuring that everybody has knowledge is power, and that everybody is properly informed before hitting the water.
It's kind of like, as kids are coming of age and they take driver's education and do
Yep.
extra practice hours, like we want them to be safe. Now, one of those
Yes.
things that can change your safety level on the water very quickly is the weather. What are some good reminders for boaters or maybe just folks enjoying swimming in a little bit of the lake as well about weather safety reminders? So if there's thunderstorms in the area or risks that there could be stronger wind gusts, what are some good reminders for people that are heading out in the water this summer?
Yeah. Well, again, I think knowledge is power. So if you're not checking the weather before you hit the lake, make that a part of your normal routine. Know what's ahead. Bring proper equipment with you. Maybe it means having additional life jackets on your boat. You should have one per person that's attending your vessel, but have additional just in case. Make sure you have a flare or a whistle in case you are in a unfortunate circumstance you can call for assistance, as well as an emergency radio that can be utilized even in the worst of conditions. I also think it's important to be mindful of the new Georgia law regarding your ripcord. There's a new law that requires it to be attached to your person. So, say there's a thunderstorm, the wake is really overtaking your vessel, and for some reason you're disconnected from the helm. Having that ripcord attached to your person ensures that the cut engine switch is pulled. So then your vessel is no longer continuing to maintain speed, and you're not going to continue to encounter a worse situation if your vessel was in operation while encountering maybe wake action or rain, that conditions that are just not favorable for boating.
And Victoria, one of those other big pushes in the Lake Lanier Association is, of course, advocating for clean water for people to enjoy for years to come. What do you all recommend about, rules on the water of making sure that you're leaving it in the same condition that you found it in?
Yeah. So my favorite phrase is pack in, pack out. If it comes with you, it leaves with you. So that means that if you're bringing a picnic to the lake, if you've got a pub sub, as we all love to grab before we go to the water, that wrapper and the napkins, any of those contents from your lunch should come with you off of the water or be disposed of properly in a wastebasket. You can also be mindful of weather conditions and cleanliness. Naturally, there's going to be runoff such as sedimentation or potentially from wildlife in the area. So I would say be mindful of getting in the water where there's a shallow area shortly after rain. That runoff is probably less likely to dissipate at a quicker speed than it would in the main channel. So, if you see geese nearby or maybe somebody's recently fertilized their lawn, there's most likely going to be additional nutrients in that shallow swimming area that we don't really want on our bodies or ingesting if we're swimming. So be mindful of the conditions of the water around you, which can be heightened after rain.
Do you also see any like algae blooms in the summer as the temperatures heat up and there's that runoff of nitrogen and phosphorus and everything?
Yeah, that certainly can be something that we see. Actually, I think it's more obviously a bit noticeable in the fall months, just because at that point in time we've had months of runoff. This time of year, it's not as prevalent. However, it can still be possible. And really, the best way to combat that is to be mindful of the fertilizers we're using for the properties that are adjacent to the lake where the runoff is naturally occurring. If we're using things like a native planting, buffer, or if we're just being mindful of the contents of our fertilizers and the way we're manicuring our lawns and businesses, those things will help and eliminate some of those additional nutrients that are getting in the water.
What's your favorite time of year at Lake Lanier? What's so special about it to you in each of the seasons?
Well, obviously, summer is a favorite for everybody, and I think I would have to echo that. There's something special about being able to call up your friends and say, "Hey, let's go to the lake today," and just the way the sunshine on a beautiful lake day makes me feel. It's kind of medicine to the soul. So I would say summertime on Lake Lanier is certainly my favorite.
Wonderful. Is there anything you want to add today that people should know about Lake Lanier and safety and keeping it clean for decades to come?
Yeah, I would say if you're not sure, resources are at your fingertips. A quick Google search or visiting the Lake Lanier website, which is lakelanier.org, to learn about our water testing results, to learn where those life jacket learner stations are. Really, knowledge is power. So making sure that you are equipped and you feel empowered to take on a day at the lake, especially if it's not something that you're doing on a regular basis. I think being prepared before you arrive is really going to ensure you have a great day at Lake Lanier.
Sounds wonderful. And I feel like this is a place that after work today, I would love to go to Lake Lanier right now. What a fun place to be this summer. Victoria Clevenger, the Executive Director of the Lake Lanier Association, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having us. Hope everyone has a safe summer on Lake Lanier.